Okay, I'm having to redo my video because the lighting was all wrong the first time. The stupid aperture of the camera is playing difficult. So, my name is Francis. I'm a biochemist by training. In my degree we did a lot on viruses and immunology. I'm going to tell you today about coronavirus, or at least over these few lectures about coronavirus and other viruses in general, because there's been lots in the news about coronavirus, but what I want to tell you about is the molecular side of them, because viruses are basically molecular organisms. They're molecular structures. They consist of at most just sort of tens of thousands of atoms. They're very, very tiny. They're elegant structures. They're molecular. There are 4 to 6 types. I've mentioned there are molecular structures. There's 4 to 6 types of viruses: DNA and RNA viruses, and retroviruses, and some others. DNA viruses exist as double-stranded DNA and single-stranded DNA viruses. And RNA viruses exist as double-stranded RNA viruses and single-stranded RNA viruses. Quick summary of the difference between RNA and DNA for those who don't know. DNA is normally double helix, drawn as like that. Which is 4 bases, A, T, C, and G. A is adenine. This is the structure of adenine. This is the structure of adenine, which, nitrogens, carbons, hydrogens, double bonds, single bonds. It's 2-ring structure. Then there's the next base, as I said. In DNA there's adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. Then the next, thymine, this is the structure of thymine, which I drew out before. Double bond, double bonds, nitrogens, hydrogens, carbon, oxygens. And then the cytosine, which is, that's a single ring. Cytosine is also a single ring. That's the structure of it. And there's guanine, which is a double ring again, which I drew out before. The 2 rings are known as purines. When you get 2 rings like this, or like adenine, that's a purine. And when there's 1 ring, that's called a pyrimidine. RNA also has a uracil instead of a thymine. That's what distinguishes RNA from DNA, is a uracil and RNA. So the uracil structure is this. This is similar to thymine there. But there are some differences. One of the differences is this CH3 is replaced for CH here. CH3 is changed to CH there. Okay? To summarize, DNA consists of adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, and RNA consists of adenine, uracil, cytosine, guanine. DNA in mammals is double-stranded, and so you get a sequence of letters, bases, and each 3 forms a codon or triple code, which I'm not going to go into because it's not what I want to talk about. and you get a complementary strand binding to it. So A binds to T, T binds to A, C binds to G, G binds to C, C to G, C to G, T to A, A to T, T to A, C to G. Regarding viruses, you got double-strand DNA. One example is the adenoviruses, which cause colds. Another one is herpes virus. Single-strand DNA viruses, you get the parvovirus. Double-strand RNA viruses, you get one called the reovirus. Double-strand RNA reovirus. And so that can be represented as a single line, but they actually also form a single loop, which is a single strand. And then single-stranded RNA viruses, coronavirus is one we're all familiar with, as well as precunevirus, which causes colds, and orthomyxoviruses. Precunevirus and adenovirus is actually related, but they are different. One's got DNA, double-stranded, one's got single-strand RNA. And retroviruses are another kind, so that's, I mentioned there's 4 to 6. There's 4 here, and then 5-1, and I believe there is another class of viruses I won't go into in a moment. The retroviruses, an example is HIV. Retro means backwards. Normally, the reason for that word is normally DNA is made of RNA, which is made in the proteins in animals and plants. Okay? And bacteria. But in HIV, RNA is turned to DNA first, then back to RNA, and then proteins. That's why it's called retro, because this process is reversed in HIV and retroviruses. It has to be, RNA has to be turned into DNA first before it's then turned into RNA and protein. Although coronavirus is dominating our lives, there are actually billions of viruses in the world. But there are several thousand at least, and certainly there's a few hundred that, I think about 200 cause colds. There's several thousand which affect humans, but there are billions of viruses. Total number of viruses on the planet, I worked out, starts the pandemic, is 10 to the power 31. That's one with 31 zeros after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So this is the total number of viruses on planet Earth. Okay. If you divide that by 7.7 billion people, approximately 7.7 billion, 7.79 billion or something now, you get an answer of about 10 to the power 21 viruses per person. So we are completely outnumbered. For every human, there's 10 to the power 21. That's one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 zeros. But most do not affect humans. Many are in plants, many are in bacteria, many are in viruses. Well, many infect plants, many infect bacteria, many infect animals, sorry. Viruses infect viruses. Many are plant viruses, they infect them. Many are bacteria viruses, many are animal viruses. And to just emphasize, Animals, for example bats, which is where coronavirus thoughts come from, can transmit to humans. But plant viruses do not come to humans. Bacteria viruses do not go to humans. Animal viruses do not go to bacteria. Plant viruses will not jump into bats. Okay, although bats can also go to dogs, and any animal can go to another animal, but it will not go to the plant. Plant will not go to an animal. So it's only a small number of the viruses in the planet that actually affect us and animals. Now, stop there.